All right, so now let's turn to the other side of the aisle. Joining me now is Lanny Davis, Fox News contributor, former special counsel to President Clinton. And you heard our last discussion. Thank you so much for coming on the show, first of all. And tell me, what do you make of these long lines that we're seeing already when it hasn't even officially begun yet?
Well, I think first of all, I respect the Congresswoman's viewpoint greatly. I happen to disagree with it, but she's a great advocate for Governor Romney. He should be glad to have her. And she has said something quite true. There's enthusiasm, and I hope a high voter turnout benefits America, whoever wins. And these long lines do indicate the likelihood of a high turnout.
Do you worry about propriety, though, when we have these kind of long lines and you hear about rules being changed at the last minute to accommodate an unruly crowd? And do you worry about later either side challenging it? And, you know, does that undermine the whole system when we're squabbling about who won the election afterwards?
Well, it's a nice problem to have that we have too many people voting, and there will be, as the Congresswoman points out, challenges to handling hordes of people who show up at the polls. But we have to be patient, we have to trust, and if there are glitches, as the Congresswoman said, I don't believe you can draw an extrapolation that there's fraud or anything more than just ordinary election glitches. You know, glitches have occurred and mistakes in polling have occurred back since the founding of our republic in 1792. But I will say that only in 2000, I almost said 1800, did we have small glitches amounting to about 600 votes determine who is the president of the United States. So I'm just hoping we avoid that kind of a nightmare. But it's certainly possible because there's a lot of conditional balloting. For example, in the state of Ohio, if there's a ballot that anybody challenges, that ballot as being not honest or misidentified, that ballot's put aside into a pile called provisional votes.
Right.
In a close election, we may have, I hope it's not hanging chads, but we may have several days to wait if Ohio, as I expect it to be, is a pivotal state.
And we look at a race across the nation that is so incredibly close. I mean, when you look at the national polls, it is basically a dead heat. And then you introduce this lack of a paper trail as another issue that we're seeing in a lot of states. In Virginia and Pennsylvania, they're using touch screens. So there is no paper trail whatsoever in some cases. In New Jersey now, because of the storm, the governor has said he's going to email out a ballot that people can download and fill out and then email back. That seems like it's rife for, you know, hackers or anyone to sort of go in and monkey with the system. I mean, are you concerned in an election that's so close that we have these kind of new or, if not questionable, tactics?
Well, first of all, there's never been evidence of massive fraud that changed an election result. You can accuse people of misrepresenting, but there's never been evidence that that has caused an election result. There are lots of instances going back to the founding of our republic of mistakes and difficulties in counting ballots. And we had that in 2000. We might have it in 2012. But
well, either way, it's a problem, whether it's intentional or it's a mistake. I mean, I think exactly. I would agree with you that the majority, you know, of the things that we're talking about today would certainly be a mistake, but they would still impact the outcome.
So here's the thing. Nothing is perfect. Democracy is a messy business, and imperfection is inherent in democracy. But you know what? It's better than the alternative.
Okay.
So there will be mistakes.
On that note, is the president going to win re-election real quick before you go? 100%?
Yes, I called the exact prediction, so here you have it. It's 281 electoral votes. He will carry Ohio to 257, so that's a pretty narrow band. But I would say this. If I were choosing which side to be on and I were completely neutral, if I were looking at every single major poll that shows a tie or a head in the battleground states, which is the Barack Obama position, or the Romney position where you have people saying we have the momentum, I'd rather be on the Obama position.
We gotcha. Thanks for coming on.